So just let me ask you one final quick question. I have an article from Natural Society that says, new study, organic farms support 34 to 43% more species than GMO farms. There's a lot of articles and books about species extinction, talking about how we're losing species. A lot of the people that I know in my regular life don't talk about this, don't think about it, don't read about it. I don't see it in the newspaper. Is this a big deal? Like, so what's, we have a lot of species, so what's the big deal if we lose 80% of them?
Well, I'm sure the dinosaurs wouldn't appreciate our being in control now. We're living through, what is it, the 6th major extinction that the world's happened, but this one is being caused primarily by our activity. And if you look back, a million years from now, if somebody looked back at the geologic record we're producing now, it will look like an instantaneous event. It'll look like the bolide or the comet, whatever it was that actually wiped out the dinosaurs. So is this a big deal or not? Well, I think there's several ways to look at that, but they all point to, yes, it's a big deal, and that is utterly independent of whether or not you think it's a big deal morally and ethically to actually be, in effect, in charge of the environmental conditions in this world, which collectively we are at this point. We're running the show. And to have that kind of event happen on our watch. In regard to the study that you were mentioning, I mean, if you think about how much of the world's surface area we actually use for agriculture, it's one of our dominant land uses. In many ways, for the foreseeable future, the future of biology and biodiversity on this planet is going to be fundamentally linked and tied into the style of agriculture we practice. And so to the degree to which our farms are biodiverse, that's going to translate into the preservation of species globally. So I think it's actually a huge deal, and you're right, it is the part of this whole issue that doesn't receive as much attention as food production or chemical use in farms. But I think if we look into that, a lot of the techniques that are being developed in terms of agroecological techniques to solve problems that we have in agriculture with a little different thinking and application of applied ecology actually lead to greater biodiversity on farms, like that study sounds to be showing. I'm not familiar with that particular study, but there's been others that have shown similar kinds of things. And dating back to, Louis Bromfield's Pleasant Valley, written in the 1940s, has wonderful descriptions of pretty much the same thing.
You said 80%? What would you say? How many?
That one said like 35 to 45%.
Okay, well, so will 35 to 40% of you please leave the room? I mean, that's what we're looking at, right? But we don't notice it because it's species that we're not feeling related to. I mean, we know each other. We can look around the room and see each other right now. But the 40% that's missing, we're not seeing that. So what I want to say is that I'm always thinking about how we're thinking about this, and it's this idea that we're separate. We're separate from these other species. We're separate from the gut biome or the microbial, the invisible world, or the distant world, or the abstract world. We are not separate. This is very important that we understand we're all part of a system. We're interdependent beings. And that if we can begin to see ourselves as part of that, then I'm not going to ask you to leave in order to save, my consuming lifestyle, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're saying, well, we can sacrifice these other species because I want to eat at McDonald's or something. I hate to sound kind of pedantic about that, but it's really what it comes down to is that we are willing to believe this inconvenient lie, or the convenient lie, right? Instead of the inconvenient truth. And it takes guts. Speaking of guts, it really takes a lot. It takes a strong, healthy immune system to be able to resist this disillusion and this disconnection that we're really actually faced with. And like I said in my talk yesterday, there's only one way to do that, and it's like holding each other's hands, or reaching out and realizing that all species are related and that we're interrelated and that the health of one involves the health of the other. All these sort of conceptual ideas that are pleasing to hear are actually the real reality. It's that reality that we need to just remember. One of the reasons I really welcome working with traditional people is that one of the jobs they have on Earth is to remember. And to remember means to put things back together. Their ceremonies are often, about holding the world together, keeping the world in balance. And what that's about is about really knowing that we're in this together, and that we can't ask the soil to be sterile so that we can have this form of agriculture that's cheap food, because that's not where it comes from. It comes from these other political conditions we've been talking about. So I'm a big believer in the invisible world, making it more visible by how we behave, by how we talk, and reducing that sense of separation that keeps us apart. So it's been a real pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Stephen. It's been great to be with you.
Okay, David, Claire, Roger, thank you so much. I'm very grateful you all came and shared all your wisdom and information and took your life's time to research this and give it to us in one concise panel. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I love the way you think.